Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So I imagine that everybody sitting here has a desire to make spiritual progress. Otherwise, you'll be sleeping on a Sunday at home. You're probably snoring. But the fact you're here means you have some interest in spiritual life. So this verse spoken by the Kumaras tells us how to increase our attachment for the Lord. So this is Canto 4, Chapter 22, Text 23. Those of you who are high-tech devotees probably have this word Bhagavatam on your smartphone. How many of you have it on your smartphone? Okay. And imagine the rest are low-tech. So we'll go straight to the translation. And Om Jnana Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurmitanena Shri Chaitanya Manovisham Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya What time do we have the hall till? Prasant Kumar is a speaker of this verse, and he's speaking this verse to an emperor called Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj was self-realized. Actually, he's an incarnation of Godhead. But the Kumaras, they all came to his palace, the 4 Kumaras, and Prithu Maharaj received them very warmly. He washed their feet and said, like saints like you travel all over the world to mitigate the miseries of humanity. So Prithu Maharaj received the Kumaras, washed their feet, and then asked them a question. He said, please describe to us how we can achieve the goal of life. Sant Kumar was very happy when hearing this question. Just like the sages were happy. And Parikshit Maharaj said, what should one do who is about to die? So Sant Kumar stated that, my dear king, you are self-realized. You know all the answers, but you're setting the example that when you meet a saintly person, what should be our inquiry? Generally, when we meet a saintly person, we ask for benediction. Please bless me so I may become a rich man. But when you meet a saintly person, you should be inquiring, how can I make spiritual advancement? The Sant Kumar said, King Prithu, you know everything, but you're setting the example that when you meet a saintly person, what should be the nature of our inquiry? So in these verses, Sanat Kumar, the Kumaras, is responding to the questions raised by King Prithu. As we told you last night, life is nothing but a series of questions and answers. In material life, people are asking questions. In spiritual life, we are asking questions. So Sanat Kumar is responding to Prithu Maharaj's inquiry, how to increase our attachment for the Lord. Just like in material life, everyone wishes to make progress. If you're a student, you want to get the best grades. If you're working in a company, you want to be promoted and recognized. So how to increase our attachment to the Lord? This is a question the sincere devotees inquire everywhere. So what does Satguru Kumar say? Vaishnava says, by practicing devotional service. So that's what we are doing. We are practicing devotional service. How do we practice devotional service? We have Mangalarati, class, chanting around, associating with devotees. The guidelines that we often get. In English there's a saying, practice makes a man perfect. But that before. You practice anything, you can become perfect. As we practice devotional service, we get more attached to the Lord. So this practice of devotional service, which is also known as the process of Vaidhi Bhakti, is very important. Vaidhi Bhakti means following rules and regulations. In Kali Yuga, nobody likes rules and regulations. Nobody likes being disciplined. Nobody likes being told what to do. The rules and regulations are there for our benefit. So we practice Vaidhi Bhakti or devotional service. Inquire about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just saying God is great is not enough. In most religions they say Allah Akbar. God is great. How great is God? What are his various characteristics? What are his pastimes? We often chant the Brahma Samhita. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very much appreciated the Brahma Samhita. So in the Brahma Samhita, there are various characteristics of the Lord that are mentioned. For example, they say, Videsu Durlabham Durlabham Atma Bhakto. To understand the Lord just by an academic study of the Vedas is not possible. Durlabha means which in truth not difficult. To just understand God by an academic study is very difficult. But when it becomes by devotee, he can understand. Then Angani Yasa Sakalada Vriddhimanti. Another characteristic of God is with any one part of his body, he can do the function of any other part. Can you do that? God can do any function with any part of his body. Just like if he has to eat, he can eat with his eyes. He can eat with his ears. We offer prasad to the Lord, chant mantras, and then we draw the plate up away and say, God has eaten. And the Emperor's next challenge us, accuse us. Look at those foolish Vaishnavas. They say God has eaten when the plate is still intact. So what's our response? God can eat with any one part of his body. He can eat with his eyes and ears. If you and I try to eat with our eyes and ears, we'll probably go blind. You take a nice soup, you take a dropper, you put some drops in your ears and eyes, you'll probably go blind and deaf. God can do it with no sweat at all. He's situated in the original Goloka planet and he's all pervasive. God is all pervasive. God's everywhere. The impersonal say, God is everywhere. How can he have his original spiritual form? And the Vaishnavas reply, like the sun disk. It has a form, but still the sun rays are present everywhere. So, Sanat Kumar is saying, practice devotional service and inquire about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like we read the Bhagavatam every day. We should have a Bhagavatam class every day. And then we have a Gita class in the evening. And in between the two, what do? Bhagavatam class, Uttara, Gita class, Vaishnava. And in between, what do we do? Service. Practical service. And Prabhupada called this the devotional sandwich. You tend to study the Bhagavatam in the morning, Gita in the evening. In the middle you do service. In a sandwich you have 2 loaves of bread, and in the middle you have cheese, or tomatoes, or cucumber, or whatever. So you have the Bhagavatam and the Gita in the middle service. And as you read the Bhagavatam, you learn more and more about God. Just like in the 4th canto, you read how the Lord incarnated as Prithu Maharaj. How the Lord, Prithu Maharaj, instructed his citizens. Glorify the Supreme Lord, and then all your necessities of life will be provided. So there's so much to learn about God. Innumerable incarnations of the Lord are also described in the scriptures. Who will believe that God can appear like a fish, as a boar, half man, half lion? When you talk about Lord Narasimhadev, they say, oh, this is fiction. How can anyone appear as half man, half lion? Once we had a court case in America. They were trying to discredit Kṛṣna consciousness. So they brought a picture of Lord Narasimhadev in the court. They said, my Lord, this is a God, half man, half lion. The most people have a very limited concept of God. So there is so much to inquire about the science of self-realization. The Vedas are so vast. The Srimad Bhagavatam is so vast. The Bhagavad Gita is also quite vast. Mahabharata. That we have to study every day, then we hope to achieve something. Actually, ISKCON is in reality an educational institution where we are training people in the science of God. What is real education? Krishna says, Raja Vidya Raja Guya. This knowledge is the king of education. Education means to remove our ignorance. Why do we go to school? To learn how to read and write. So we need to understand the science of God and how deep-rooted it is. And the Srimad Bhagavatam is full of so many stories, just like now we are reading about Prithu Maharaj. Where all these stories have a theme and a conclusion. So with Prithu Maharaj, Sanatana Kumara is saying, you can increase your attachment for the Lord by practicing devotional service and inquire about the Supreme Lord. Not just understand God is great, but understand the greatness of God and His transcendental pastimes. In the 10th canto, you read about the pastimes of the Lord. Krishna has already stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Janma Karma Chame, appearing, disappearance are both divya. Beyond the material modes. Just like when the Lord appeared, He appeared in His four-headed form, beautifully decorated, ornamented. He wanted to convince His parents, now I've appeared, don't worry. His parents were in great anxiety. And when the parents said, the father said, please transform yourself to an ordinary child. Have you heard of a baby being born with 4 hands, ornamented? Then when the Lord was a young boy, a young child, He killed so many powerful demons. We had to go to the gym regularly to build up our body. That's why you see so many fitness clubs everywhere. But the Lord doesn't have to go to a fitness club. He's born God. The other day I was speaking to quite a prominent Russian individual. So I asked him, how did he become Krishna conscious? He said, I read the Krishna book. I saw how Krishna killed the Lord, killed this powerful demon Putana. So I knew this must be God. God performs superhuman activities. So that's one aspect of God's greatness. So that's important to understand how great God is. Then it says, apply Bhakti Yoga in life. Bhakti Yoga, as you know, is a science of devotion. Bhakti Yoga is a science in which you engage your body, mind and senses in service of the Lord. The Lord has many names. Sometimes people wonder, what name am I going to get? God, there's no shortage of names. And using Krishna's names characterizes pastimes. Just like he's called Makhancha or butter thief. Normally if somebody calls you a thief, you say you're ready to kill him. You're a thief? What did I steal? Krishna can't be sold butter. But he never got caught. So he was God. So you read about the Lord's past and how he opened his mouth and showed the whole universe in his mouth to his mother. So Sanatana Kumara is saying, apply Bhakti Yoga in life. So one of Krishna's names is Rishikesha. What does Rishikesha mean? The owner of the senses. So it says here, apply Bhakti Yoga in life means apply the intelligence, mind and senses body in service of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita, there's discussion about different types of yoga. Yeah, Sankhya Yoga, the analytical study of matter and spirit. Jnana Yoga, Hatha Yoga, which everybody does these days. And you have Bhakti Yoga, the science of devotion. Yoga means to connect to the Lord. One of Krishna's many names is Yogeshwara. These days yoga means you just do some yoga exercises, get an anger certificate, and start teaching yoga. But yoga really means the process by which you can connect to the Lord. The yoga is based on the principles of controlling the mind and the senses. So it says, worship, apply bhakti yoga in life. Learn to do everything for the Lord. Just like Krishna says, yad karoshi yadasnasi, yad lehosi dadasiya, yad tapasudi kaunteya, tad kurusha vadarpana. Whatever you do it as an offering unto me. You want to study with a goal. I want to please the Lord and prove that nothing exists without God. I want to earn money, become a big businessman, no problem. Become a big businessman for the Lord. So you learn this process of using your mind, body, senses in service of the Lord. Then hear and chant about the glories of the Lord. So Prabhupada says in the concluding lines of the purport that our attachment to the Lord can be increased after one accepts a qualified spiritual master and learns from him the methods of devotional service. Just like in our Krishna conscious movement, we follow everything based on the teachings of Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya, occupies a very unique position in ISKCON. We'll discuss this in the evening. But he gave us everything based on Acharya's teaching. So hearing and chanting forms the basis of our spiritual life. 7th canto you read how Prahlad's father chastised Prahlad's teachers. Hiranyakashipu was furious that his son attached to his enemy Vishnu. So he chastised the teachers of America. You two are not doing a good job. It appears that the Vaishnavas are coming in disguise and brainwashing my son. And they would say, Sir, we know that you're a big man, but we're also Brahmins. Don't chastise us. We ourselves are bewildered. But don't worry, we'll brainwash him completely and he'll accept you as supreme. So they tried their best. And they were convinced, Lord brainwashed now. So they told the father, test it for yourself. He's going to say, you are supreme. So the father made his son sit on the lap, patted him on his head, like a father does with affection for his son, and inquired, all the subject matter you learn in school, which is the best of all? And the son revealed the ninefold process of devotional service. The father was so angry, he lifted the child and threw him off his lap. So Shravana and Kirtanam is the basis of our spiritual life. And you hear about Shravanam Kirtanam almost every day. Doesn't matter who is giving a class, whether it's a Maharaj giving a class or a new Bhakta. The basic elements are the same. If you read Prabhupada's purport, you find in almost every purport there is reference to Shravanam. This forms the basis of our spiritual effort. In material life also, people base a lot of decisions based on what they hear and see. People trade on stock markets around the world just by seeing on the screen what the prices are. You want to know what the weather is in London, you can get to know on your internet. Now they have these Skype conferences. People are traveling less by plane these days, but they do the conferences. It's called the high-tech movement. So we have many of our GVC conferences on Skype also. So through the hearing process, we get to know the glories of the Lord. Through the hearing process, We chant the names of the Lord and hear the names of the Lord. Hearing the transcendental name, hearing transcendental Krishna Katha cleanses the heart. We all recognize our hearts are heavily contaminated, and this cleansing process is Shravanam and Kirtanam. The process works universally. Today there are ISKCON centers in virtually every corner of the globe. There are more than 650 temples around the world. Our books are translated in over 80 languages of the world. Near Australia, there's a small island, I forget the name. The population is just few thousand. And the language of the country is called the Pidgin language. Why it's called Pidgin language, don't ask me. Okay. All I know is the language is called Pidgin language. Yep. Even in Pidgin language, we have Prabhupada's book. So the point I'm making is, this process of Shravanam Kirtanam works everywhere. And this is most important for every devotee. If we want to increase our attachment for the Supreme, the theme of today's talk is how to increase your attachment for the Lord. And that's attainable by Shravanam and Kirtanam. We hear and chant the holy name, but that's not the end of the road. The classes, reading the books. So all these activities group together and help us to cleanse the heart. So every devotee must concentrate in improving his Shravanam Kirtanam. When you have high fever, what's your desire? Should the fever remain or should it come down? What is your answer? Fever should remain high or come down?
It should go down.
Go down. So every minute you're checking, is my fever going down? So our material fever is high. Too many material desires. And how do material desires work? If only I can get this, then I'll be totally happy. And when you get that, you want more. When you have an itching sensation, you feel like scratching. Scratching initially gives you some instant relief, but then it becomes worse. So the great sages have told us the material desires can never be fulfilled. So don't waste your valuable human life. Athata Brahmajigasa. Inquire, how can you free yourself from the miseries of life? So Krishna consciousness teaches us how to get attached to the Lord. Sometimes we think, if I move along this line, life will become boring. Once I was preaching to someone about the 4 principles. Then he said, if you can't indulge in these 4 things, then what's the use of living? Might as well die. Bhakti Siddhanta Ji, they sent his sannyasi disciples all over the world to try and establish Lord Chaitanya's teaching. So one of them went to England, and there was a very prominent British man. So he told the Swami, can you make me a Brahmin? He said, but you have to follow these rules.
No.
Well, then I don't want. Spiritual life is a life of discipline. Unfortunately, spiritual life has got watered down everywhere. So our understanding of spiritual informality that you go to by going to the temple or the church on once a week and so on. But spiritual life essentially means getting attached to the Lord and getting detached from everything detrimental to the Lord. People often argue, my religion is better than your religion. When you have fire in the house, you especially tell them, send me firemen only from Rostov. He said, just send me any fireman.
Right.
You tell them, I want to be treated by a doctor from Tashkent. You just want to be cured of the disease. So our disease is too addicted to sense enjoyment, going to the miseries of birth and death. So Krishna consciousness as a process can be tried and practiced anywhere. And spiritual association gives us encouragement to practice Krishna consciousness. So Sanat Kumar's advice to King Prithu is actually meant for all of us. What has he said? Practice devotional service. apply Bhakti Yoga in life. Inquire about Yogeshwara and take interest in hearing and chant. Do that, then your attachment for the Lord will increase. Some of us may be feeling, oh, it's too early for that. Maya is so sweet. What's the hurry? I know Maya is bad, but I'll give it up after 20. What's the answer? Time and tide waits for no one. You never know when the end is going to come. There's danger at every step. And how the process may appear austere, it ends up in giving you real happiness. Ananda Bodhi Vardhanam, or Rishadev says, as we surrender to the Lord in form austerities, we get increasing pleasure. So just like Pritham Raj inquired from Sanat Kumara, how can we achieve the goal of life? This is what we should be inquiring. Normally when we meet each other, what do we say? Kakila. When we meet devotees, I'm sure you say that, Kakila. And what's the normal reply you get? No, Kakila. So whenever somebody would meet King Dashrath, Father Lord Ram, King Dashrath would question, what's the progress of the journey back to Godhead? So when we meet each other, that is what we should be inquiring. What's the spiritual progress? And we should be willing to help each other. That should be our move. And Prabhupada explains, one can get knowledge on this by accepting guidance from a bona fide spiritual teacher. Hare Krishna.
Lord Chaitanya Prabhu gave us three main principles of our practice: Namaruchi, Jiva Doya, and Vaishnava Seva. Could you elaborate a bit about it?
Namaruchi means getting attached to the holy name. We should have a taste for the holy name. Initially we have no taste. At one time our taste was zero. We first heard about chanting the holy name. I'm sure you must say, oh, that's boring. But then due to good karma and association, you begin to chant. But our real goal is to develop taste. Just like all of you have a taste for good prasad. We don't need to educate you. Okay, you must like kachoris and samosas. So if you develop a taste for the holy name, like you have a taste for prasad. Vaishnava Seva. Serving the Vaishnavas is a privilege. Our mood should not be, I'm just going to serve the Guru, but I'm not going to serve anybody else. We should be willing to do seva. Any Vaishnava or Vaishnavi. The Lord says, anybody who says he's my devotee is not my devotee. One who says he was a devotee of my devotee is my devotee. And it was all the devotees of the Lord. Tapas devotee is, Srimati Radharani. She's the topmost of all the devotees. So, our goal should be to serve all Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Jivadaya, merciful to all living entities. So, how do you manifest this mood? By preaching. Jivadaya means preach, be merciful to all living entities. Don't be a miser. What's a miser? He has knowledge, but he doesn't want to share with others. Don't think, I'm saved, what do I care? Let the whole world go to heck. Try and save everyone. If you follow the advice of this verse, then your Namaruchi will increase.
First of all, I would like to thank you for the lecture and especially for this devotional sandwich.
That was Prabhupada's terminology. I just repeated.
We have the center being built here in Rostov. So, could you tell us what should we do, all the devotees in Rostov, so that this temple will be built soon? And if it is possible, please bless us to build this temple soon.
Good question. Should I reply to this question, Maharaj?
Yeah. Okay.
I have to take clearance from the authorities. So the point is, yes, we are building a temple. This temple will be for everyone's benefit. But any project can be done with the help of everyone. I've participated in the construction of many temples in India and abroad. But to succeed, everyone has to make sacrifice. And one thing that's most needed is Lakshmi Devi. So all of you should try and see what you can do. personally do the best you can. Sacrifice your lifestyle. You can save Lakshmi for the temple. And then inspire your friends to do it all. After all, in this temple, you'll have the lady though. Go on and Lakshmi will sing. How many of you would like to see the temple constructed as soon as possible? Sure. So, and how many of you are ready to, how many of you have already helped? Okay. So only a small percentage of those present here have so far helped. They say in English, charity starts at home. Do you mind? Charity starts at home. Do you follow that? No, charity starts at home means first, each of us has to be charitable to the cause. So each of you sitting here should try and do as much as you can. You can do it on a monthly basis, one-shot basis. When we were going to build the Moscow temple, so many, even elderly ladies, made such big sacrifices and helped. It was amazing that what so many of them did. And encourage your friends. And then when the temple is built, you can say, I helped build this temple. Otherwise the temple will be built and your name will not be there. If you make the effort, your name will be there in Kṛṣṇa's diary. How many of you would like your name to be in Kṛṣṇa's diary?
Not everyone.
Okay? You should keep reminding everyone. Exemplary yourself. You know that story in the 10th canto? You know that story in the 10th canto? Haribo. You know that story in the 10th canto? You know that story in the 10th canto? There was a lady selling apples.
Яблоки.
Buy fruits, buy yablaka. The Lord was a young child. Those days they had the barter system. In the Soviet days they had the barter system. When I first came to your country in 1976, before some of you were born, I took Prabhupada's books to many libraries. I went to big libraries in Moscow and Leningrad at that time was nameless.
Я посетил все крупные библиотеки в Москве.
They all said we want these books, but we don't have foreign exchange. So we'll give you a Russian scientific books in exchange. Use your books, we'll give you our books. So I wrote to Prabhupada what to do. Prabhupada said, just give them the book. So the barter system was in your country also long. So Krishna had some grains in his hand and he was going towards a lady and the grains all slipped out of his hand. She still gave the grains, she still gave the fruits. And when she looked back, what did she see? Basket of apples made of gold. You may say, that's not a bad investment. I can give you 100,000 rubles. Will my basket be full of gold apples? It may not happen because Krishna knows if he gives us too much opulence, we can fall into Maya. Krishna keeps us on our toes. So we serve Krishna. We never lose us. Okay, each of us.
You mentioned in the class that in order to develop, to increase our attachment to the Lord, we have to take shelter of the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Could you elaborate what does it mean to take shelter of the spiritual master?
Follow the instruction. Shelter doesn't mean just for flowers and the feet of the Guru. Follow the instruction. Okay, Isho. I respected him. He was an advanced devotee, scholarly devotee. Dear to Prabhupada. He translated all of Prabhupada's books, most of Prabhupada's books in Oriya language. He helped build a temple in Bhubaneswar. Okay, Isho. Yeah.
The question is that we give up certain things, but we don't have spiritual taste as yet. So what could be the source of inspiration for us at this stage when we gave up material things, but we don't have a spiritual taste as yet?
You have some element of spiritual taste.
Of course.
If you didn't have any element of spiritual taste, you would not be here. You'd be at home or enjoying the nice weather going on the beach. You have a taste. Then the question is developing the taste more. That advice was given by Sanat Kumar. How to develop the taste. That's what we are all trying. How to develop the spiritual taste. But we have to take the medicine. So I think I'll stop at this point. Any more questions? So, Maharaj, which one next? Vapras?
The question is whether everyone who dies in Vrindavan goes to the spiritual world, or some of them are going to the heavenly planets also.
Well, it will all depend upon your activities. If you lived in Vrindavan and done nonsense work, then I doubt if you'll go back to Godhead. It all depends upon your action. You can die anywhere. If you've done devotional service, you're residing in Vrindavan. Rastava is also Vrindavan. If you glorify the Lord and worship the Lord. Vrindavan is portable. Vrindavan is in Vrindavan, but by Krishna's mercy and Prabhupada, it has become portable today. You can carry Vrindavan anywhere. Wherever you glorify the Lord, the place will become Vrindavan. Just like Prabhupada says, these temples in London, New York, Washington, Los Angeles, they're not in London or New York, they are all in Vaikuntha. Just like this building where we are having this program. It's a mundane building or obviously belonging to some karmis or whatever. We're using it to glorify the Lord. So they also get some pipe. Okay? Thank you very much.